Good morning, everyone. I'm here today to present to you our capstone paper, which is entitled TeleGyne, an integrated pregnancy and childbirth management system for Barangay Health Center. With, Before I start this presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Leah Camille Piliin, with my co-proponents, Joanne Berber and Mecca Hazel. For the introduction of this capstone paper, pregnancy is one of the medical categories that should be taken care and not to be neglected in the community. For the background of the study, in today's life, smartphone and internet is one of the most accessible platform to communicate with other people. And there are 3.6 billion smartphone users in the whole world. They are using this smartphone for communicating, for fun, and transacting to even they are miles away to each other. So, and in the Philippines, we have the 73.91 million internet users in the Philippines. It is the people that internet is a base of communicating with other people. And this 73.91 million internet user in the Philippines is part of the it's a part of 57.6% of the population of people who are using the smartphone in the Philippines. And these smartphones and internet is a way and a tool for improving the technology we have in our lives today. Next is the current situation in the Barangay Health Center, which is a paper-based transaction still. And it causes some damage or loss if transaction of a paper base is still ongoing, because sometimes it will leak if it is misplaced and used by other people, and it will cause some damage on the gathered information of a person if this current situation is still ongoing with the paper-based transaction. Next is, what is the problem we have here? If the health of the people in the Barangay Health Center is still in danger because of the paper-based transaction, it will cause some problem. The manual gathering of information can lead to loss or damage of the data, which is can be tampered or can be taken away by other people, which is they can use it for different functions like illegal use of information of a person. So it is a problem because it will lose and damage the gathered data. It is not safe. And for the solution we have here, yes, to create a mobile health app that will help them monitor the health of their pregnancy, and they will have instant care tips to protect them to in dangers in their pregnancy journey, which also comes with the web-based system, which is for the barangay health workers, which will store the gathered data, which is more secured because of some security principles that is used in this system. The next one is the objectives of this capstone paper, which is design and develop barangay health management system for pregnancy and childbirth records. It will give them security and privacy if it is developed in the barangay health center for the barangay health center. Next is to create a mobile base for self-monitoring and reminders of pregnant women. This will help them to self-monitor their health using the app we will create. And next is to send SMS notification to patient before the time is scheduled of checkup, which will remind them to go to the Barangay Health Center for their checkup or different transaction that will help them to take care of their health as a pregnant woman. Next is to store and generate patient's medical record. It will save the medical records of the patient of the pregnant woman that will also can be seen if that person wants to gather her medical records in the Barangay Health Center. Next is the scope and limitation of this capstone paper. The first one is prenatal and postnatal care, which is lead to during the pregnancy, which is have 3 trimesters for the first and second, third, and the afterbirth care of the baby. Next is the Barangay Bilya Pag-asa, is the target environment of this capstone research, which will give the which will implement the system and the proposed system of this capstone paper. Next is the pregnant woman, barangay health worker or BHW, and obstetrics and gynecology or midwife are the participants of this capstone research, which they are the main persons to be involved in this research. And next is for the 1-year-old baby. It is only covered for the 1-year-old baby because it also given data by the BHW of the Barangay Health Center that it only covers 1-year-old baby of postnatal care. So next is the significance of the study, which is for the pregnant women. For the pregnant women, it is used for giving them a convenient platform to self-monitor their health and to take care of the baby inside their womb. Next is the barangay health workers. This will help them to store the data gathered from the pregnant woman in the barangay health center. This also helps the community to be aware of what is the importance of healthy pregnancy in the community. It will aware them of the facts that should be considered in having a pregnant woman in the community. And next, for the future researchers, which will give them the data of the proposed system, and it will help them it will give more data about the system they are gathering about, and this research will help them. Next is the conceptual framework, which is displayed here. For first, we are gathering the raw data from the health center, which is the baseline of information needed for the system. From the assessment that we conducted, it is the data that will be needed in the system, developing the system. It also the base of the concept on design of the system. If the gathered raw data are true, and it will give them more easy to communicate with the use of technology, the gathered raw data will be a baseline for it. And next, for the design, after the gathered raw data, we will assess the data that we gathered and create a design that is proposed for the system. There are also create the different forms needed from the assessment of the data from the health center, we will create these designs that will help them to the transaction. This design will help them to create a proposed design for the system, and it will based from the assessment we are gathered. And from the assessment, we also have the different data for the forms needed in the system. So it is also a base to create the different forms needed in the system. And after the design, we have here the testing and evaluation, which is the trial and error for the function of the system, which will test by the proponents from a small portion of population, and the researcher will evaluate its functionality and reliability.
Review of related literature, studies, and system. On this part, the following literature help the researcher to support the claim and goals of the proposed system. One of the studies that have relation to our proposed system is from Ayutthaya et al. 2019, entitled Web and Mobile-Based Technologies for Monitoring High-Risk Pregnancies. In their studies, they said that the lack of equal access to healthcare services and problems related to visiting a healthcare providers are among the challenges of prenatal care. In order to overcome these challenges, the use of telemedicine technology is one of the solutions to address these problems. This technology aims to improve the quality of patient care, increase access to medical care for rural and deprived areas, and reduce the cost of patient transfer and treatment. And as the result of this study, the use of mobile phone and mobile-based technologies was more feasible in caring for high-risk pregnancies.
So, for related system, according to Capoy et al. 2019, to their study entitled Web-Based Health Monitoring System for the Municipality of Santa Cruz Health Centers, this system helped to deals with the manual procedure of the patient and the health services data records, and to figure out what the people needs in the community in terms of the facility, the health worker, and the medicine that they need. And also, according to Kobayashi et al. 2017, to their study entitled Development and Feasibility of a Tablet-Based Self-Monitoring and Management System in Pregnant Women, the percentage of pregnant women was high, high in terms of the willingness to have a self-monitoring system or application to help in their maternity journey, and will support their information in terms of self-monitoring application.
Development method. We use the system development life cycle waterfall model. The waterfall model is a linear sequential flow in which progress is seen steady downward through the phase of software implementation. This means that any phase in the development process begins only if the previous phase is done to handle change in equipment. In this figure, the first phase is the requirement analysis, which all the possible requirements that our system to be developed is documented in a requirement document. The second one is the system design, where the design of our system is being prepared to help us in specifying the system architecture. The next phase is implementation, in which we develop a small unit system to be tested its functionality. In integration in testing, all the units developed from implementation are integrated into system after testing into each unit. Then it will test the entire system for any faults and failures. The next phase is deployment of the system. Once the functional and non-functional testing is done, the system will be released in the market. And the last phase is the maintenance, where if there are some issues came up in the client environment, the maintenance will perform to fix and enhance the system for the better use.
We have here the requirement specification for the system. This is the functional requirements that is needed in the system, which is the features, web-based system, which is created as a web form, and this system will appear on web, and it is created in the web form of the PC or laptop used. And next is this SMS notification, which is will be received the message by the user, which is created by the system. And for next is for the sign up, which will be a requirement for them to give their data and to save it safely in the system. Login, this will secure the personal information of the patients. And the view chart is for the self-monitoring, which help them to monitor what is the needed medicines or vaccinations that will help them to be healthy as a pregnant woman. And scheduling, that will give them the appointments or the date or the time that the health center will be functioning, and will help them to monitor their health. Next is the user interface, which is we have here the login page, which uses their username and email and password to enter the system, which help them to self-monitor their health. And there is also the dashboard for the admin of this system, which is the health workers in the Barangay Health Center. This will shows the health workers number, patients, appointments, and attendance, and there is also a report here. For the hardware interface, this system will use a laptop or a personal computer, which is also means a PC that has a minimum requirement of 1.10 gigahertz, which is for the processor, which is includes system type, which is 64-bit with a memory of more than 500 gigabytes, and its operating system is for Windows 10 and above. For the software interface, we have here the component of PHP, which is the specification of PHP 5. It includes the PHP MyAdmin, the SAMP application with a version of 3.2.4 with a 64-bit system type, HTML, CSS, Visual Studio Code for coding or for revisions of codes with a version of 1.53, and a browser which we use the Google Chrome, but in further development we can make it compatible with Internet Explorer and Firefox and different web browser available in the hardware that we are using.
Security requirements. The most of the security flaws discovered in application and system were caused by gaps in system development methodology. In order to cover this problem, it will be presented aspects of security development process improvements along project lifecycle. The security requirements of our system provides are: the first one is authentication. This will determine the security of the user from unnecessary login. And the second one is the authorization. This will determine the access level of the user or client privileges related to system resources like user data. In our system, if you are not registered user, you cannot access the application. And if you try to log in, there will be a pop-up message that shows that you need to register first or sign up in the admin. And the last one is confidentiality. The system protects the user private information and only designated individuals have access to the system. Example is in our system, the viewing of information is exclusively or limited to the user, and it is not seen by any or the other user. Technical background. The first one is the hardware specification. This table shows that the hardware specification that the customer and admin can use to access the system. In the right side of the table are the equipment specification enabled to run the system. The next one is the software specification. This table are the software specification that the user can use to have an access to the system.
And design. The system is to develop the web-based management system for the Barangay Health Center and to create the mobile application self-monitoring and reminders for the pregnant women. Also, the Barangay Health Worker will be the admin of the said system, and then the admin will responsible to all the process of the healthcare management system, while the pregnant woman will be the user of the system during their maternal journey. And the admin will send the SMS notification to the patient and receive 2 hours before the schedule of that particular pregnant woman.
For the system architecture of the system, we have this figure, which is the procedures or process of admin and user. First, we will explain the administrator process, which is the admin will log in the system, which uses the correct username and password. And if it is correct, that it will goes to the dashboard of the system, which is also displays the patient's information, or sign up, which is the user will register their personal information, but only the administrator will be the one who will put the data in the form to lessen the mistakes of misspelled or different needed data. And for next is for the patient's health information, which includes the medicines, checkups, or the doses of vaccines that are required on the pregnancy journey of the patient. Under the patient health information, here comes the monitoring, which the administrator has the access to add, update, and delete on the database of the patient's data. And next is the statistics, which represents the progress of the patients by month, and it is totaled by year, which produces reports for the BHWs, which comes from the database gathered by the BHW during the sessions for that checkups or scheduled appointments, which also the comes with the SMS notification, which is the SMS notification builds in the system, which be sent a message for the user, and this admin will log out on the system. And for the user process, here comes the login, which also uses the username and password that are registered in the database when they registered in the health center with the help of administrator. If it's correct, it will be showed in the dashboard. With comes the monitoring information. In monitoring information, she can view the charts and reports that are her personal information, and also comes with the healthcare information, which shows the healthcare tips in the application that helps them to maintain a healthy way of a pregnant woman. And next is to receive notification, which is the notification sent by the system will be received by the user, and it will be a reminder for them to receive proper health care from the BHW in the health center. They can also lag out if they want, and this will end the process in this system.
Use case diagram. The barangay health worker or the admin will be log in, add, update, delete data, input health services, set date for next visit, send SMS notification, search patient, produce reports, display patient records in the healthcare management system. And then the pregnant woman will be registered to the system. Then it will receive the SMS notification, and then view the health tips through the application. Then next, the activity diagram. Start when this activity diagram refers to the user will start to register their personal information and then log in. This login term is represent to another way of activity, which is to attendance. And then through attendance after the user to log in or to attendance, the admin will update their personal information in terms of checkup, vaccination, and treatment. And then the 3 activity will managed by the health practitioners, and then set the schedule, then log out, end. Next, the activity diagram for the admin will start when they log in, and the next, enter the patient data where they can add, delete, or update about the prenatal or the postnatal information, which is the prenatal is referring to the vaccination of the mother or the maternity care, while the postnatal is determined to immunization of the baby or anything about the newborn care. Then after that, log out, end. So for the context diagram, it will start to the health service provider or the admin who will log into the healthcare management system, and then next the pregnant woman or the mother who will send the registration information to the healthcare management system. Also, the admin can add, update, and delete the data of that patient, and then the system will send the patient information to the admin or show what the personal or the other records of the patient. Then the system will send the SMS certification to the patient or the mother. Then also the healthcare management system can send the individual records to the pregnant woman. Then between the pregnant woman and the admin, there is a health monitoring. So next, for level 1 data flow diagram, it has the entity, which is the admin and the patient. So first, the admin requests to log in. So the process 1 is to log in, where the admin login information will go to the data store, which is the table 1 admin. And then the process 2 is add patient, where the new patient information added to the new data store, which is the patient. Then the next process, update records. Then the next process is set schedule, where it can show about the check-up date for mother, then the immunization date for baby. Then next is send SMS notification, and then the last process is the receive SMS notification, which is the patient entity. Testing and evaluation. The proposed system will be tested and evaluate the features of the specific participant, which is the Barangay Bilya Pag-asa of Bansud. And then the researcher will give the feedback form to the participant of the study to after the time frame of testing of the system and the application. Then the participant of this study will evaluate the system and the application based on the usability, functionality, and the maintainability of that. Then next, the implementation plan. The first strategy is giving a letter of approval to barangay health worker and gathered assessment. Then the activities is giving a letter for barangay health worker, and the persons involved is the researcher, which is the project leader of our proposed study, and then the duration is 1 hour. Then the next strategy is gathering all the requirements for system and application development. Then the activities is preparing for hardware and software needed and the workspace area. And the persons involved are researchers, and the duration is 4 hours. Next is the system installation and maintenance. And then the activities is installing the system and application required. Then the persons involved are researchers, and then the duration is 1 day. The last is the training and the lecture. The activities is hands-on training and lecture, and the persons involved are the barangay health worker and the pregnant woman, which is the participant of our study, and the duration is 1 day.
And that would be all. Thank you.